Hello everyone, welcome so much. We're so grateful to have everyone here for another talk on divorce, but we have an amazing thing going on here on the Straight Talk with Parents. So I'd like to give a nice little warm welcome quickly to surprisingly, our guest speaker, Keith Jowers, because we have got this amazing topic to talk about. So firstly, I just want to welcome everybody and all the replay viewers who's going to see this again and again, because it's absolutely going to blow your mind today. So just let me get my Facebook ready, because we are going to do Facebook Live on our Straight Talk with page on Facebook. So let me just welcome everybody in. So 3, 2, 1, we're almost live. Hey Facebook, what's up? This is the Straight Talk with Parents. We are going live for the first time on our page. So I just want to welcome all our Facebook viewers, and on Zoom and also on Periscope. We have got 3 amazing things that are going on at the moment. We've got Facebook, we've got Periscope, we've got Zoom, and we've got our amazing host who is going to be our guest speaker today. So basically today what we're going to be talking about is having a win-win attitude while you're going through divorce, separation, or if you're just going through a hard time in a relationship. And we're going to talk about how Dads for Life became founded. So who is this Keith guy who is hosting every week? So I want to give a nice warm welcome to my special guest and my co-host and my best friend, Keith Jowers.
Oh, thank you, Mose. Oh, you're just wonderful. Ariel, I appreciate you being on you're on the host side tonight. I really appreciate that. This is an idea. We have questions from time to time on dealing with divorce and how do you deal with the children and all that stuff. So this is, I guess, kind of interesting how we're doing this tonight. So here we are.
We sure are. I just realized I don't have sound on my Facebook Live. I just got to get that sorted. Well, hey, that's bloopers for you.
It's live, so there you go.
It is. It's very much live.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me on Facebook? I guess everyone can. Can you hear me, Keith?
I can hear you. You're good.
He can, but I can't hear you. So it must be my audio on my end. Oh. So I'm so sorry for our Facebook Live, guys, but my audio is not working. So I'm going to plug out of Facebook, but you are quite welcome to join us on Zoom. The number is 9693056135 if you can join us on Zoom, or if you want to, you can join on the Dads for Life Periscope handle. So back to you guys. I'll just finish up on Facebook. And then we are going to join you. I'll plug you back in and we'll get started. Okay, back with you.
Oh, I see we have a guest.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks for joining. Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining us live. How amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Love to have you guys here. Absolutely. Let's just do a quick intro. We have got Pete's here on the line. So Keith, lovely to have you here, and thank you so much for being our special guest this week, because we've got an amazing topic to talk about, divorce and separation, but having a win-win attitude. How exciting. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Ariel. And once again, I appreciate you kind of taking the wheel tonight as the host, and I'm just kind of the guest tonight. It's kind of interesting to be on this side of it, and I appreciate anyone that's watching us on Periscope and Facebook Live and all these channels we're trying, because we're getting a lot of attention here tonight. Well, on our Straight Talk for Parents Facebook page, actually, we're real excited about that. We have a couple of amazing guests the next couple of weeks, but you wanted to interview me tonight. I don't know about that. So, but yeah, we'll talk about how we all got started and everything. So I'll tell you, you're the host, so why don't you just go ahead and ask me the questions?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm just so honored and, having to talk about, Dads for Life and what the Straight Talk for Parents is. So let's just start with, what Dads for Life is, why it started, and when did it start for you?
Okay, just one moment here. I'm going to, there you go. All right, so now we started back in 2004, actually, Ariel. We decided that, well, my wife and I were helping a lot of people in church and different couples with different things. And I had been helping a couple of dads who'd been going through divorce, and about 4 dads at the time. So my wife and I were sitting in a computer one night, and we were discussing things we were doing to help parents and help dads and help moms and dads that were single on each end and so forth. And all of a sudden I said, I'm started helping these dads go through the same type situation that I went through back years ago. So I said, why don't we maybe I just need to start an organization. I really wouldn't know what to call it, but I think we'll just, kind of help a dad for life. And that's how it began, Dads and 4 Dads Life. And we started this organization in 2004, started helping dads a little bit here and there. And all of a sudden, here we are, 13, 14 years later, and now we are actually multiple thousands across the world with 22 countries that have tapped into what we're doing. So it's kind of interesting how it's grown to that.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit of the story behind the Dads for Life. How did it fully come about? There's obviously a story behind the story for Dads for Life. So what is that story?
Well, Ariel, I believe that everybody has a story. And I was an 11-year-old boy in 1969, and my dad died right behind me one night, and I thought I was dreaming, but it turned out to be I wasn't dreaming, and it really it was kind of surreal. I was like, wow, this is really happening. Pinched myself, locked myself in the bathroom, cried, the whole 9 yards, didn't know what to do, what to think, and nobody knew really what to say to me. So as my teen years started growing and I started working through different things at school, I decided that there was nobody really helping me. So how am I going to learn how to do things? Nobody mentored me, nobody guided me, nobody directed me except my mom. Now, mom was always there, right? And we decided that somehow I was going to be able, I thought I was going to quit school, and we decided with mom ensuring me that I wasn't going to quit school, that I would get through school. But I went to work right away and started helping her. Well, then, as I became a young adult, I got married, and then the baby came along, and we were excited about that. But the marriage only lasted 3 years. But I decided that when that was happening, that I would never divorce my child. So I walked out of that courtroom with a new determination that no matter what, this dad would be involved with his child. And I went to every school event I could, everything possible that I could attend. Sports, everything. As she started growing older, so those 2 messes, being without a dad because he died, mom never got remarried, and being a young divorced dad, those 2 messes became the ministry we call Dads for Life. And here we are, like I said, 13, 14 years later, and now we've just grown so much, encouraging, enhancing, and enriching dads and what we consider the greatest asset on earth, and that's their children.
Absolutely, because I'm definitely a mom, and I'm sure that so many of us here on the line who are actually parents or who are parents to be know exactly how important our children are, because our children can teach us so many things. So on that note, what were some of the things that helped you get through? So what was like the positive attitude that you had that helped you get through?
I think the positive attitude that in anything that we do in life, I'm an author. I see another author on here with us, and we decided we're going to do something. We have to have a good attitude at it. If we don't think we're going to help somebody with our work, then why are we doing the work? Well, when I walked out of that courtroom, I had to make a decision right then that no matter what, I was going to be involved in my daughter's life, right? So that became my attitude of adjustment, so to speak, that no matter what, I was going to be involved in her life. I had no idea that I'd help another dad, much less hundreds of dads and single moms, by the way. But we have decided that your attitude is so important. I've done a lot of personal training in attitude and helping people develop their attitude. And even with the youth, because I was a police officer for 30 years, and 18 years, almost 20 years of that actually, I've worked with kids and helping them understand that they can succeed in life. But I became their mentor, I became their father, I became their pastor, whatever they needed, because a lot of times they weren't getting it at home. So I would always talk to them. I even taught classes on attitude, how to have a good attitude. Even in the midst of horrible situations, how to have a good attitude. Are we perfect? No. I'm not perfect, and no one else is. But the thing is that you learn through each avenue of your past, you learn that there's a better attitude in the future if you just adjust it a little bit. and realize life's going to happen. I said something the other day, it kind of hit home. I said, you cannot see the sunshine out the front door if you don't look out the back door or close the back door on the past. You can't see that sunshine out in front of you, right? So you have to have a good attitude when you're looking towards the future or a better life. I met with a dad today, and he just can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. But I helped him start trimming those a little bit today, and he was so excited that maybe there is hope at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely, there always is. There's always hope at the end of the tunnel. And one of the things that we like to instill with our teachers here for Dads for Life and Straight Talk with the Parents is having a positive attitude. And having a positive attitude isn't just about, having hope and having faith and certainty that, all things will work out. It's just having that win-win attitude where it's, sometimes things just have to go, and having that hope and having that support there is an amazing thing. But I would like to really touch on, how do we teach our children the attitude of responsibility? Because with that responsibility, you do have responsibility with having a positive attitude. So what can we teach our children about the positive attitude of being responsible?
Well, Ariel, I believe that the table time, dinner time that we used to do years ago, right? I believe that's extremely important today, even more so today. And I know it's difficult, schedules here and there, and not everybody's schedule meet up and mix up or match up together. I understand that. But you do it as many times a week that you possibly can, because that is a time to connect. That in Dads for Life training, we talk about connections, making sure that you're doing everything you can to connect with your child daily. Now, the best thing about today compared to what I went through in the 80s was technology. I mean, you have technology everywhere today. You have the cell phones, and you can text, you can FaceTime, you can do all this stuff that I didn't have that. But you know what? At least 3 to 4 times a week, I'd pick up that phone and talk to my daughter before she goes to bed. She's only 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, or whatever, just to tell her, hey, this is Dad, I love you, I'm going to see you next weekend or whatever, and we look forward to it. So I think that the table is the most important time to make those connections, and it's a no phone zone, okay? You got to put those phones down when you're at the table time, because if you don't, I saw it today at a restaurant. I saw people sitting around a table having some kind of lunch meeting, but they were all on their phone. So they're not really having a lunch meeting, okay? They're all on their phone looking at whatever they're doing. So it needs to be a no phone zone so you can connect with your children and know what's going on in your life. And when they have an issue at school and they say something like, oh, Johnny did this to me today, or Mary did this to me today, and it's the end of their world. Well, we're as parents, we guide them and direct them towards, no, it's not the end of the world. And I was telling this dad that today, that it's not the end of his world. He just has to change his attitude because he thinks the whole world is against him, and it's not.
Absolutely. That's a great story, because I can't wait to teach Sarah some of these amazing things that are going to happen to her to help her become who she needs to be. So let's just talk about this win-win attitude. How do we have a win-win attitude? Like, how do we ingrain that in our children, but how do we also ingrain that in ourselves?
I think it's through experience. I think the more bad experiences you go through, if you realize their growth. I teach about growth. I mean, I even still go to classes myself. I still pay money to learn from people that are older and grayer than I am and have more hair than I do. Okay, that I don't know how they kept theirs. But the thing is that the older someone is, the more wiser they really are, or should be anyway. But I find that not always the truth either. But I think as the more you get older and you go through more experiences, and that's what I was sharing with this dad today. I was saying, I'm a little bit older than you, like about 3 decades, so I can give him some advice that will help him not make those mistakes. So having that win-win attitude comes, I think, through life experiences, Ariel. And I think also that the more you go through and you work through and you pray through and you trust God with or whatever, when you come through all that, it gives you an inner strength that is far more than what you ever thought you'd have. I mean, I remember times when I wanted to give up. I wanted to quit school. My mom says, not over my dead body are you quitting school. You need to get a new attitude. So I got a new attitude because I didn't want to lose a second parent. You know, I didn't understand what she was meaning, right? But I was ready to go to work and change the world, right? But then I got a college education. I mean, I got a college scholarship, and I quit. I quit school with a full scholarship. But you know what? When I decided I wanted to go back to college and got my associates and bachelors and all that, you know, when I got that higher education, guess who's paying for it? I am, right? So I have a better attitude now towards education because I learned through that education. So I encourage all parents to teach your kids to work through those situations and let them realize there is another day coming. You know, I was a drama coach as a school resource officer in addition to being a police officer, right? And we did Annie, right? And I said, I can't wait till we sing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, because it really does come out tomorrow once we work through the storms in our head first and say it's going to get better tomorrow.
Absolutely. That is so important to have that type of attitude, just to basically, sometimes we just have to weather things out. But I have not been through divorce, so I cannot speak for those who are experiencing separation or divorce. But what I do know that is having a win-win attitude and turning the situation around. So what are some of the attitude tips that you could give us kids? Because since you've been through divorce, I would like to enlighten that for some of our viewers here who may be going through a hard time, who may be going through separation, or who are recently divorced or are going through divorce right now. So what's some of the things that, Keith, that you can help our parents out with in terms of attitude?
Well, thank you for asking. Actually, in our recent book, Daily Connections here, and I think you're going to share that in a little bit. But anyway, Daily Connections, I actually have a section in the back that helps parents that are in a divorce situation or going through a divorce, and do's and don'ts. And I don't mean that as that's concrete do's and don'ts. It's just suggestions, you know. And one of the main things I see, Ariel, and I hope parents understand this that are in the situation, they try to pit the child towards the other spouse if they're so negative about it, you know. And I believe the child is going through a learning process of his own. I never, ever, and I can say that without a doubt, I never, ever did that to my child. I never let her hear me talk negative about her mother. I never talk negative to her mother or have heavy discussions or anything like that in front of my child, because that's my child's mother. At some point, you connected, right? And I wanted her to know that even in life, two people are going to disagree, right? And with those two people disagreeing, that it's okay to disagree, but you still are, I mean, if it's family, you should still love them anyway. And I know that's hard sometimes, but when it comes to your child, you teach them that even in a world of disagreements, and Lord, we have a plenty of world of disagreements right now. There's a lot that you can learn through those disagreements. I mean, you can agree to disagree basically and still be friends. And that's the thing. You try to keep the children out of the middle. Keep the kids out of all the disagreements and fights. Don't let them see it going back and forth. And I see that a lot with dads will tell me, oh, every time I drop him off or I drop her off, I get in a fight with her. Well, you shouldn't do that. Because it takes two people to do that, right? If I'm not going to argue with you, there's not going to be an argument between you and me, correct? And both parents should continue that long support for the child and always think about their future. And that's a couple of, you know, it helps them kind of keep the balance, even though they're sad. They're sad that mom and dad are divorced. I'm working with a dad right now. He's going through it. He didn't want the divorce, just like I didn't want my divorce, right? Back many, many years ago. I didn't want that, but it happened. So what do? What can you control in that situation? You control you, period. And, you know, you can't control another person. You can't, even in a marriage couple, you can't really control the other person. Even though people try that, it doesn't really work out in the end. Who can control is you, you know. And I think if you help your kids understand that and help them acknowledge the change, you know, mom has a house now, dad has a house now. Every other weekend you get her, and that's the way it started with us, Ariel, back in those days. But you know what, over time, you know what it worked out to be? What fits her schedule and what fits my schedule, and we worked it out. Because we started communicating again because of the support of the child. If you keep the child's focus first, it should always work out. It really should.
Absolutely. And, you know, also being open-minded, because some of my friends have been divorced or they are going through a separation when they do have children, and keeping everything, how can you say it, is our children see what we do and children react in very unpredictable ways. And from looking from an outside perspective, even though I am a mother, it's sometimes we have to put our bitterness and our angriness and all of those things aside for the best interests of our children. And you talk about that, about control. It is about, you know, not only just controlling our emotions, but hopefully controlling somewhat of the situation to make it a pleasant experience. Because you can, honestly, you're not in your child's head, so you don't even know exactly what's going through your child's head at that point when, like you said with your story, is, you know, when they're dropping them off at the front door, or, you know, going to a park, or where it's an exchange of, okay, my time with you now is over, so therefore now it's mummy's time or it's daddy's time to look after the child. It's like the child sees the world in a very different lens to the way that we see it, so we need to approach it with a bit more love. And I understand that, you know, divorce and separation, even if you're just in a standard relationship, some things can go a bit sour. So it's always in the best interest to put the child's needs first before your own when you're in that situation, because, like I said, children see that in a very different lens. So if they see that mummy and daddy is not hugging or kissing or being affectionate to each other, they'll think that's normal, or they'll think that there is actually something wrong. And that brings me to the point of creating a trusting relationship, where a trusting relationship is with my 2-year-old at the moment. Is just like, she trusts me that, you know, I'm not going to stand there. This is a horrible situation, like a story to share, but this is the point of trust. Is she trusts me that I'm not going to drop her, that I'm not going to hurt her, I'm going to love and honor her, because that's exactly what children expect, because they have no filters. And when children have no filters, they're open to, you know, love and respect themselves. They're open to self-expressism. So that brings me back to the point is, how do we actually encourage a trusting relationship with our children while we're going through that separation or that divorce?
I think keeping the promises that sometimes we promise a little bit too much, and something else comes up and we have to break that promise. And, you know, I remember talking to some children in the school system that were in a divorce family situation, and they would never, some kids would tell me that their parents never show up to see them play school, sports, or in a drama or anything like that. But, you know, the thing about, I think keeping that encouragement is that there's disappointments in life, but we need to think as parents before. I never told my daughter, I never promised her, you know, this weekend we're going to the zoo or whatever, and then I never show up. If something came up with work, then I would adjust it somehow. I'd call her, talk to her. I'd take her out on another night or something to explain it to her, but I wouldn't just leave her hanging. And I saw a lot of kids being left hung out to dry, so to speak, not knowing if dad or mom's even coming to get them, because sometimes it was mom, the visiting parent. So I think when we promise the kids too much sometimes, instead of, okay, so next weekend we're going to do this, you know, and if something comes up, I'll call you or whatever. Because a lot of kids don't need to be disappointed. If they're disappointed all the time, then they're going to say, I remember one kid that would say, he's not going to come. I know he's not going to come, because he never comes when he says he's going to come. Well, you're not building that relationship of trust. You're not building that relationship of that love with him, that he knows that you're going to be there when you say you're going to be there. And that's one thing parents need to do. You need to be there when you say you're going to be there, or at least let them know why you can't, but be there as much as you can, because your kids are going through those formative years and they need a parent. And yes, they need mom and dad. And unfortunately, I have a lot of single moms that follow what we're doing because they're pulling both roles, because dad has flown the coop, so to speak. The child doesn't need that. He needs, or she needs, that trust from both parents.
Absolutely. And through that trust, children can create the space of being, self-appreciative, being grateful, love, kindness, and compassion. But most important is feeling worthy as they are. And that's some things that a trusting relationship can build on by being there, if they're playing baseball, if they win the game, having that time with your child, even if they lose the game. That's not the point, or whether we're winners or we're losers. The whole point is to be there for your child, to support them and to encourage them to enrich and enhance their life. And that's pretty much what Dads for Life embodies. But having that trust it has a paramount effect of all these other things like, love, trust, and compassion and responsibility. But it also can transcend to when they actually have children. And as a child, we're actually not taught that we are worthy. And just by going to that baseball game, that you are teaching them that they're special, that they're unique, because everyone's special and unique. We're all different. It doesn't matter how important we think others are. We're all equal. We're all the same. And that big trust factor can teach a child so many things about how they can actually create relationships with other children, as well as you being able to have that trusting relationship. Because look how fulfilling that would be for you as well. You're having a win-win relationship with your child, even though that, mommy and daddy might be separated, or they're going through a hard time, or they are actually getting divorced, or they are divorced. So that brings me back to this, is how do we actually encourage our children to change and allow them to flourish, even though that, mummy and daddy aren't together, or they're going through a hard time? So how do we actually encourage that and allow them to flourish during that difficult time?
Well, I think that you give them a plan, okay? I used to have kids who come to me, and I'd see them, I'd see kids crying. I'd see kids, upset about something, and I always say, come into my office. They always came to my office for an excused tardy slip, because they knew I had a lot of them. So but I just believe that the kids need that encouragement. And when you give them a plan, so for instance, you mentioned earlier about that you are unique. When I told a kid, I'd sit there in front of my office, and he'd sit there, and I'd say to him, you're pretty unique. And they said, well, I know I'm a little different. I said, no, you're unique. I said, look at your fingers. And I would always go back to the fingerprint analogy, where everybody has a different set of fingerprints. That's why God made you different. First time some of them ever heard anything like that, right? But I would tell them they're so unique. I said, and you draw. You're always drawing. Your teacher's telling me you're always in trouble because you're always drawing. I said, you have to do your work so you can get through school, but maybe let's think about taking up drawing or artwork in college. Somebody that's never even led them to thinking about that for their future, right? So you're giving them whatever their strengths are, whatever their hope, or whatever they want to do in life. I had a kid tell me what they want to do in life, and they'd say, oh, my parents will never let me do it. I said, you're going to be 18. If that's your dream, I'd say go for your dream, Of course, I knew their situation. I knew they'd never be encouraged at home. But I tried to find out what those kids' strengths were, and to help them, think about their future a little bit. Positive affirmations are important, no matter who we are or what age we are, okay? I just feel like when we start with our young children, especially in today's time, they are so inundated with media influences today. They think the world revolves around that little phone, right? And I'm seeing elementary kids, even in the school system, at elementary third graders with smartphones. Really? Don't let them think that's their world. Their world is so much bigger than that. And you as a parent should know, because you came up in that world, right? So, but.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember not even having a phone until I was over the age of 18.
Wow.
So, that was like a no-go back in the, the 90s. It was like no phone until you're 18. And then as soon as I turned 18 for Christmas, I got a $100 little voucher to put on my phone. And what did I do? I spent it all on that Christmas day. It was absolutely amazing. So I waited until then, and my dad was not very happy, but he turned around and he said to me, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that $100 was worth it. And I looked up at Dad and I said, it was worth it. I got my horoscope for the week. So I was happy. I was super ecstatic that I got this little block phone back in the 90s. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing how education has transcended.
Well, I see we're running out of time here. I hope we kind of covered some of the things that you wanted to talk about tonight.
We sure do, but we just want to bring it back and just do a quick reset for all of our viewers here on the Straight Talk and all who are from Periscope and who are also on Zoom with us live today. We thank you so much for being with us. And just a quick reset, this is the Straight Talk for Parents. This is just a little branch of Dads for Life, and what we're all here about is enhancing, enriching, and encouraging daily connections with their children so that they feel confident. And it's also about you too, Mum and Dad, where you feel confident in, creating that daily connection with your child. So basically all we are talking about today is having a win-win attitude, and while we're going through separation, or where we're just struggling, or we are actually going through divorce, or we are divorced, and how to actually instill that in our children, even though that we may feel a little bit crappy. So we are talking about some, attitude, and it is quite a sensitive topic. We are having a discussion, but let's bring it back to Keith. Just want to do a quick reset with Keith here. Tell us a little bit about Dads for Life again for all of our viewers who have actually just dropped in with us.
Sure. You can go to Dads number 4 Life. Actually, that's the logo down there, dadsforlife.org, and you can learn about some of the ways that we're connecting. There's also, you go to our resources, you can see some free inspirational videos, motivational type things, and for everybody, really anybody that wants to learn, but also connected towards dads. But we also have a course, our book, Daily Connections. Actually now, Ariel has a video course on there. You can go into the classes and actually get a course. And if you buy the video course of training with these connections, you actually get the book for free. So that's a little savings for you also. And there's also a personal effectiveness course there that you can get for $15. I mean, I'm really costing a lot, right? But the thing is that we just want you to connect with your child any way you can. It may not be through Dads for Life, but you can do it through a number of ways. But we're here as a resource for you to help you find what way you need to connect with your child. Some neat things that are coming. We do have Dads for Life Club that will, it's kind of like a membership group that will be starting real soon. And the Dad Connection radio show is coming back, and we'll be connecting that on our website real soon. So you can connect us through our any of our Twitter feeds, Twitter feed, Facebook, all that social media is at Dads for Life, or you can reach me directly at number 4dads@bellsouth.net.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Keith. And I just noticed that you showed some books there. I love to see what type of books that you have there for Dads for Life.
Oh.
Your books there, Keith?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just we got the Daily Connections, which is kind of the light there. We'll show you. Daily Connections, that's a journal that parents can use to connect with their kids. We got Meet Officer Keith. That's something that's been in my brain for a while, and it's just trying to teach kids between 3 and 7 about police work and what policemen really do. There's so much negativity in our country about police today, but I can tell you from my side of 30 years dealing with that career, we're not like the media tries to portray us. And then there's Part-Time Dad, Full-Time Heart. That's my first book. It's quite a bit. It's going into revision real soon, but that's our first book on how to make that connection for life with your kids. And of course, we have some other books there too that people can purchase if they would like. So we're just here all about encouraging dads and moms as well. That's where we started out, helping dads, but it's turned into a lot more than that. So we appreciate everything that you're doing to help with our Straight Talk class and so forth there down in Australia. So appreciate you very much, Ariel. Thank you for
absolutely
coming
You're
up with
most
this class.
welcome.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let's just tell our viewers a little bit. We can get those books on Amazon, yes, by typing in Keith Jowers.
Yes, you can go to Amazon, type it in. You can get them right there off of our website as well, dadsforlife.org. And but you can find them on Amazon and probably any of the online bookstores. You can just type in the name and it would come up. So, but we also have that Facebook page there if you want to mention it real quick before we run out of time. So.
Yeah, we've got 4 minutes left. So I just want to open up the floor for about a minute or two to see if there's any questions on Periscope.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions that have come through?
Mine went down on my end. I don't see any that came through. So, but they can also reach us, right, through our message on our Straight Talk page.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just bring up Facebook and we'll do a quick Facebook. Okay. Just going to share the screen in a moment. Okay, let me know when everyone can see the screen. Excellent.
It's coming up. There it is.
Woohoo! This is the Straight Talk for Parents. This is our official Facebook page. It is www.facebook.com/The Straight Talk. It is our page where we can get in contact with our community. You can leave us a message. So if there's anyone out there who has a story to tell that they need to get out to the world and they want to share it with us, then know that they can get in contact with us by clicking on the contact button on the Facebook page. So this is just a little bit about our page. We are definitely growing. We talk about amazing topics here on our actual page. So every week we hear every Monday night, which is Tuesday in the future for all of us Aussies here down under. It is basically 9 a.m. in the morning. It is on every Monday in the US. I believe it's 6 p.m. your time. Yes, Keith?
Yes, that's correct.
So that every week that we're on there, we talk about all of these great topics about not only just about children, but we're also here to support mums and dads as well. So we definitely have a lot of quotes. We have many resources on this Facebook page that we have for you guys. So if there's anyone out there, like I said before, if you have a message, we'd love to hear it. And this is the best place to get in contact with us. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been here with us. This is actually my first time for hosting, so it's been an absolute honor to run the show today. And for our amazing guest and my host and great friend, Keith Showers. Back to you.
Thank you, Ariel. Appreciate everybody watching on Periscope and all our replay viewers. And next week we have Miss Melissa Ruth coming on talking about how your daughter can choose the right mate one day. So that's going to be an interesting class. So, but we appreciate each and every one of you. And take us out, Ariel, because we are getting ready to close this down.
Absolutely. Thank you for everyone who's joined us. And yes, the replay will be out in the next 24 hours. So if you did miss this today, or if you're just coming in at the end, just know that the replay will be available on the Dads for Life YouTube channel and also the Straight Talk for Parents on Facebook and also on Keith Jow's private page. It will be available there for you as well. So thank you everybody who's joined us, and know that we're always here for you. And thank you so much, Keith, for being our guest speaker this week. It's been absolutely amazing to host this.
Thank you very much for
next week, you're welcome. So next week you can join us on Monday, which will be Tuesday here for the land down under. For us Aussies, it'll be 9 a.m. Tuesday. And for all of you who are in the US or around the world, it is, I believe it would be 6 PST time and Eastern Standard Time. So I will talk to you guys all next week. Love to you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you, folks.